Welcome back, y'all. We got a short one for you today. We're going to be talking about the players that are entering into the transfer portal, Jalen Smith and Jordan Matthews. Please do make sure to like and subscribe. So we'll be starting off with Jordan Matthews, who's a four-star cornerback in the 2023 class, actually the highest rated player in our class for 2023 at cornerback. And he just hasn't seen the field as much as he, probably wanted to up to this point. He's, I think, played the least amount out of all the cornerbacks on this team this season. So I do get it, right? Because Ricky Gibson came into that same class and Ricky Gibson has been balling out. Now, I think that Jordan Matthews is a very good football player. He has good size, good length, good hips, good speed, good feet, all that type of stuff. But for me, the biggest issue has been staying on top of routes, not getting beat deep. And I think that's why he hasn't been playing as much as early as he probably wanted to. But he would be cornerback number 4 on this team currently. And we do have 3 other cornerbacks that we trust that have played, a pretty good amount. But I don't know who the new 4th cornerback is going to be now that he's entering into the portal. Sounds like officially coming up on Monday because he won't be able to, stick around with the team. Once you enter into the portal, that's typically how that goes. So I don't know. Will we try to call up a guy like Caleb Beasley, who has played some this season? Could we try to go with the Marcus Gorge Jr.? That's 2 true freshmen. Outside of that, we could be talking about maybe like Boo Carter, who is another true freshman, but he plays at star. Christian Harrison, Christian Charles, both of those guys have played at cornerback. I think that if we get into a real bind, we could probably put them there. But the depth at that position heading into the playoffs, it's definitely not ideal. And that's going to hurt us. I think it'll hurt us some also moving forward, like looking towards next season. But we do have some other guys, they're young and upcoming that could maybe help us out. And maybe we go back to the transfer portal to try to supplement some of those needs right there. But I do think that that is a pretty big loss, but it is one that P and I did expect to happen. Just didn't think that it would happen before the playoffs. But that's also just because we weren't really looking at how this timeline is, it's kind of like shaped up. They're gonna have to get that fixed. Like they're gonna have to do something that if your team is in the playoffs, you can't hit the portal just yet, right? Like they need to be able to stick around so that we can finish this season out. But at the same time, some people might think, well, if they don't want to be here, then what's the point in them sticking around? I can get that side of it too. But let's move on to Jalen Smith, okay? Playing at linebacker didn't look great to kind of start the season off, right? Because Keenan Pili did go down and, Jeremiah Telander had to play more. And then obviously, as a consequence of that too, Jalen Smith also had to play more and Caleb Perry. But as Jalen Smith has gotten more time playing, he's looked really good. P and I told y'all we think he might be the second best linebacker on this entire team. He was a 4-star linebacker coming out of high school from here in Georgia in the 2023 class as well. So he would be another redshirt freshman that sounds like they're going to be leaving. But that one's going to hurt, I'm going to tell you, especially for playoff time, because he is currently our second leading tackler at linebacker with 34 tackles. And right behind him is Jeremiah Telander with 33. Now, that might not make a big deal to y'all, but when you take a look at the snap counts between those two players, Jeremiah Telander so far this season is sitting at 556. We have to scroll down to find Jalen Smith right here at 351. So Jeremiah Telander is close to double the snaps that Jalen Smith has had on the season, but Jalen Smith has more tackles. So I think that that right there should tell you how important Jalen Smith has become to this linebacking core that's already starting to get thin. But good news for us is that Jeremiah Telander is still a very good football player. And I think that Caleb Perry, he's come a long way as well. Those two will be getting a lot more playing time. Elwin Spillman's finally back. He looked very good out there. And, we talked a lot about linebackers and coverage, not covering grass. Elwin Spillman looked good doing it. But, man, Jalen Smith was the main one that I was thinking about whenever I was talking about it, literally latching on to, wide receiver threats, over the past couple of weeks. So outside of those players, we also have a guy named Eli Purcell, who I think he's a preferred walk-on. He came from Wofford. And he's looked good as well. Like, he looks really good, and we talked about that, I think, a couple of weeks ago after that UTEP game, that, man, look, he might need to be getting some more playing time. So he's a veteran too, right? That's going to be very important, and just knowing what to do, knowing what you're seeing whenever it gets to playoff football. You don't want to necessarily have true freshmen out there, and that's not a knock on Elwin Spillman. He just hasn't played that much this season, and there are going to be some things, and teams are going to target him, and that's a tough spot for him to have to be in. So I would expect that if Jalen Smith does not get retained, okay, and it does sound like maybe he's doing this to get some more NIL money, the same thing could be true about Jordan Matthews. I don't know, because that one just literally just happened. So I haven't been able to read enough about that or, hear enough about that behind the scenes. But if we can somehow sweeten up the NIL deal for Jalen Smith, or just his money and get him to stay, that would be very big for the depth of the linebackers on this team, which is a very, very important position. And, I think that at this point it's necessary. Obviously, you can't be held hostage, but, you got to kind of fork over whatever you can. If that means, hey, somebody might have to get cut that we were, probably thinking probably wouldn't be playing moving forward anyway, then that's what we have to do, right? Like, we have to figure things out. But it's too important with Tennessee in this position because it's not guaranteed that we'll ever get back to this position. So whenever you get to the playoffs, you pretty much have to put all your chips in and just try to make it work. So we'll see what happens, man. I would expect to hear something over the next few days because, like we said, the transfer portal officially opens up on Monday. But for me, that's two pretty big losses for our Tennessee Volunteers. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And as always, please do make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other Volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.